To upload files, you can just click the Upload File button, and that opens a dialog into which you can drag and drop files, or you can click the Browse option to browse to the location of the files, in which case you'd be permitted to upload multiple files or folders to this file storage location. I'll do a multiple file drag and drop to illustrate it here. So I can drag and drop those 3 files and it'll automatically load it into that location. And I can close that dialog box and you'll see all 3 files are marked as sensitive. Clicking that uCloud icon in the top left corner takes you back to your home screen, and from here we can navigate to the apps that we want to use. You can see that I have starred the Transcriber application and it shows up under this starred applications list on the left here, and I'll show you how to do that. We navigate to the top of this list called Store, which is for the App Store, and that takes us to the App Store landing page. You can see that the Transcriber app is also listed here in my starred applications at the top of this section. If I search for Transcriber in the search bar at the top of the screen, you'll see it up there. You'll see Transcriber comes up, and you can see that in the star next to the Transcriber title, I have selected it to add it to my starred applications. If I click into the application, I can unstar it, or at least unfavorite it, you could call it, and that will take it out of that list on the left. You can see it's now gone. But for those of you who are going to use it often, clicking in the star of the job, or at least of the application, might make it convenient to get to. That opens up the application, and we can now create a job. You don't have to provide a job name, but I do recommend giving it your jobs a name that is recognizable for being able to find the outputs that you're looking for. If we type in the name of the first job, just a test job for Transcriber, we can select a machine type, and now because the only resources you've been provided are the GPU resources, those will be the only ones you can see here. The U3 GPU 1 machine is the most appropriate because the application can't take advantage of using several GPUs, and if you select multiple GPUs, you'll see that the cost per hour goes up in terms of the number of GPUs you occupy. So you will use 4 hours per hour and you won't get any performance advantage out of it. So choose U3 GPU 1 as your machine type, and then you can choose the input file or directory for multiple files, file for individual files, and you have the option of applying an archive password. And that archive password is because downloading files from uCloud can be a bit of a pain, because most browsers initiate a pop-up block which prevents you from downloading consecutive files in large quantities. And the archive that gets produced by the app contains all of the output files in one zip file. And when you download sensitive data in a zip file, it might be nice to make sure that you need to access it via a password, at least that you have some kind of protection on the file. And you can add that here. And if I click use there, you'll see that the parameter pops up as an option to input, and it's just plain text. And we can call this, or give this archive a password called password for archive, which I don't recommend for other users. And we can pick the language. Picking the language, of course, picks the output language of the application. And I'd like it to be in English because I know that the vast majority of what was spoken in the files that I'm providing was English. The model size, I also recommend for a variety of reasons being aware of. The outputs of the medium model and then the V2 and the V3 models will not all be identical. And you may find that even though you use the large model, the output is less accurate for English text than it would be in the medium model. It's a bit ironic that it is that way, but sometimes the large model ends up providing multiple outputs for the same timestamp, etc. So just try out 1 or 2 different model sizes if your results don't look great to start with. So we'll choose just the large V3 model. That is the latest and largest model. And then we need to, at some point, pick an input directory or file. For now, we're going to just leave the output directory to a specific location, and we're going to not select an output format because the output format selection option limits the output to just one format. You can do that if it's convenient for you to not have all of the other formats and you know exactly what you want, but sometimes it's nice to have multiple formats just to be able to do a quick check in the platform. I'll demonstrate that shortly when we get to the demo. And if we choose the directory option, you can choose an output directory. We're not going to use that directory option for now, and I'll explain why once these results come out. So let's just submit that job. We have all of the parameters we want. We have a password for our file, our archive when it comes out. I'm just going to copy that for convenience sake now. And we've got the model size and language selected. The last thing we need to do is provide the input files. And those are going to be all of these transcriber audio files. If it doesn't default to your correct drive location here, you may need to change the drive, in which case, please avoid clicking on this icon for the moment. It's a bug. It will reset all of the information in the app and take you out to your file browser location. Click the drop down and then the member files option for whichever drive it is that you need to use. In this case, we have SDU compute and we need the SDU member files folder. So we're in the right place. Let's click the use button to the right of the folder that we want to access, and it will add that folder path to the input directory parameter. And that's it. We can now submit this job and come back and read the results when it's done.